So, the Galaxy A51. The device is for about 24,000 rupees, which is about $300 to $350, and it's amazing what that money can now get you in a phone. Sure, it's a mid-range device with decent performance, but otherwise top-of-the-line features. You get an FHD Plus AMOLED display, it runs 2 SIM cards and a microSD card, all 3 at the same time, quad camera setup, 4K video recording, video stabilization, full version of Samsung Pay, and you get Samsung One UI 2.0, the latest software that comes bundled right out of the box. The A51 comes with 128 gigs of onboard storage, and it has 2 variants, one with 6 gigs of RAM and the other with 8 gigs of RAM. I think the one with 8 gigs is not available in the market right now, but it should come out pretty soon. But what I really like about the A51 is how it looks. This color in my hand is actually very nice. It's really pleasing and it's very classy. It's all plastic, but it really feels nice, unlike other devices in this range that still come in great colors but have a very plasticky feel to them, making them seem a little cheap. And besides, it doesn't seem the kind of phone that would attract too many fingerprints or dust otherwise. It comes with a transparent rubber case that you can slap on and still enjoy the color. The size of the device is also really convenient. It's really not very big and it's quite lightweight as well. Honestly, it looks good when you're holding it, and that's what you pay for. It supports Type-C fast charging, and it has a headphone jack too. And by the way, the Galaxy A51 is the first non-flagship phone to have Android 10 right out of the box with Samsung One UI 2.0. It's also got some flagship features like Samsung Pay, so you have the ability to just tap your phone on credit card swiping machines and make payments. You would never have to carry your credit card again. It's got Dolby Atmos and other minor things like always-on display, link to Windows, Bixby routines, and so on. And if you want to know my favorite One UI 2.0 features, I've done a video very recently. It's in the top right corner. I'll leave a card. Go ahead and watch that video. And now let's get into the display. It's got a 6.5-inch Super AMOLED FHD Plus screen, so it's really colorful, crisp, and high contrast display. And the outdoor visibility is also pretty good. So if you're someone who is on the go and you keep watching, videos or content or reading, you can depend on the phone's screen when it's really bright outside. And by the way, it's also the first punch hole display, or as Samsung calls it, Infinity O display in the mid-range Galaxy A series. And guys, it's Samsung Super AMOLED, so there is not much you can complain about. They have some of the best displays even in their low-end and mid-range smartphones, and it's as good as you can get in this price range. And now let's talk about the performance of the Galaxy A51. And it's decent at best. It's got a pretty capable processor. It's the Exynos 9611. But even then, the phone doesn't feel as spontaneous and as snappy. And this is the only area I felt the Galaxy A51 lags. And if you're looking for a phone that's super snappy, the A51 may disappoint at times. So while things felt a little slow in terms of opening, closing, and switching between apps, there weren't any issues while gaming. Once the game is loaded, the gameplay is smooth. The bottom-firing speakers are just about decent, and overall experience is actually lag-free. The notch at the top doesn't really interfere. I don't really get bothered by it. Even PUBG defaulted the game's graphics quality to highest. Graphics, animations, and response to touch, all are actually quite good. And given that the phone has 4000 mAh battery, you can expect a lot of continuous, uninterrupted gaming if that's what you're into. And now let's talk about the camera. It's great to see mid-range phones now having all kinds of lenses to allow you to take all kinds of photos. Even in the A51, you can see there are 4 camera lenses. A primary 48 megapixel lens, a 5 megapixel depth sensor, 5 megapixel macro lens, and a 12 megapixel ultra-wide lens. And here are some samples that I took using the primary lens of the Galaxy A51, and I have to say, I'm pretty impressed. It's at par with any other smartphone that's available in this price range, and in some cases, it's actually just better than them. And all these images are available for download. The link will be in the description below. Now let me also talk about the ultra-wide lens on the A51. So this is shot using the regular lens, and this is using the 12 megapixel ultra-wide lens. It's pretty good. And you can actually see that the ultra-wide lens has a slightly better dynamic range than the regular lens. But let's talk about this one. The one on the left, which is taken using the 48 megapixel lens. Notice the trees and the green that you can see there versus how dark and black it is on the right side on the trees, which is the ultra-wide lens. But consistently I've seen that the ultra-wide lens tends to have a better dynamic range than the regular lens. Even here, for example, the night is a lot better depicted on the right side as compared to that on the left. It makes it seem like it's daytime, whereas it's really just night. And now let's talk about camera's ability to take shots in low light. And again, I think it's pretty good for a camera in this price range. You can see how the pictures are quite noise-free, especially in the sky area, which tends to get very noisy and grainy, but it's really not the case here. And now let's talk about the third lens, which is the depth sensor, which has the ability to blur the background and have your subject in focus. You can be really close to the subject as well. And I think it does a pretty good job there too, as long as your lighting is good. And then there's the macro lens, which is not as useful, but yeah, it can take some really good shots, and just getting very close to some plants, you can really see the details here. And let me also touch upon the video recording capabilities of the Galaxy A51. So it can shoot up to 4K videos, but this video is shot using 1080p as base quality because this entire video that I'm doing is shot in 1080p, so it made sense. But yeah, what I really like about the video is, the recording capability of the A51 is it's able to keep my video very stable. I'm walking pretty fast actually, and I'm really not trying to be too stable with my hands, but I think the videos come out to be pretty good. Yeah, it's just 30 FPS, so it feels a little choppy, but it's as good as it can get. And quickly jumping on the camera interface. So it is running Samsung One UI 2.0, so you do get the latest interface and functionalities that comes with the new camera interface. You get all your modes in more, like macro and night mode. And then there's live focus, which is your depth sensor. And then if you go into your photo mode, you get the option to switch between your regular lens and ultra wide lens. Do note that you do not get this option when you are in 48 megapixel mode, which you can enable by going into the aspect ratio and then tapping on this 3:4 H, which I'm guessing sounds for high. And lastly, let's talk about battery life. It's got about 4000 mAh battery capacity, which would easily get you through the day despite heavy usage. Now, usage is subjective, but assuming that you're going to watch videos, play music, take pictures, you're going to have some phone calls as well, and you'll have your push notifications through the day from messengers of all kinds. Even then, you will be left with some battery at the end of the day. So the question is, should you get the Galaxy A51? If a really fast, snappy performance is not a priority for you, then the Galaxy A51 is actually a pretty good phone. You get Samsung's credibility and support. You get a really good looking phone with premium quality build. You get 4 lenses, really good quad camera system, and a gorgeous display. And then you can add flagship features that the phone comes with, like Dolby Atmos, you get Samsung Pay, and you get Android 10 with Samsung One UI 2.0 right out of the box. So overall, I think it's a really good deal for 24,000 rupees, and you should totally go for it. So hope you guys really enjoyed watching this video. If you've got any questions on the A51, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. I'll try my best to answer each one of them. Thank you for watching guys, and don't forget to subscribe.